Yeah.
Now if you come on down to Highbury, you can see Thierry Henry. He is the best player you will ever see. Thierry Henry. Now if you come on down to Highbury.
Yeah, yo, boy. Welcome to From Dial Square to Where. Great to be back. Got three great guests with me today. Welcome back, Kunjan, first and foremost, to your second appearance. It's great to have you back. How are you,
Andrew? I'm great, buddy. You tell me.
Yeah, I'm very, very good, mate. And you just told me you had a national holiday, so you were open to just go and visit the national park and just see a few rhino, see a few other beasts roaming
Lions.
around.
We actually got to see 7 lions. So the best part about living in Kenya, I live in a city called Nairobi. I think we're the only city in the world that has a fully functional national park. So we can actually just break away from the CBD and head into the national park, and we get to see rhinos and cheetahs and leopards and lions. And today was a great day. We got to see a couple of rhinos, like over half a dozen lions, and like countless wildlife. So it was great. It was a good breakaway from the city life and into the nature.
I can get to go to my local park and see a few dogs and some squirrels. It doesn't really compare, to be perfectly honest. I'm really jealous. What a wonderful day you must have had. And Ryan, welcome back. How are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Like you said, we haven't got the luxuries that Kunjan has. So another bit of a lockdown as well. So fantastic.
I know. Well, and James, it's really great to have you back as well, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, no, like you said, it beats Colchester Zoo where I am. So you're not charged extortionate rates to go. So
exactly. So
it is a very good zoo, though. I won't slander them too bad. It is a good zoo. Other zoos are available, but it is a good zoo.
Yeah, my local one's Twycross. I worked there for a year or so. And it's great. They do a lot of good work with the monkeys.
Berlin's the best one I've ever been to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was levels above any other one that I've been to. It's really, really good.
Yeah. Well, even so, it's still nicer to see wildlife actually in the wild, isn't it?
Yes.
Rather than behind cages.
Yeah.
But I think what we're going to do is we could touch on what happened in the game against Crystal Palace. But I think first and foremost, because that's been done to death already with so many different podcasts and people having their views on that. But I think it's good to sort of delve a bit deeper as to how we're actually feeling at the moment as well, about the situation, about the manager, about the players, about what's going on. And then finally, we can sort of finish up with a look ahead to the game on Friday as well. And just let us each other know exactly how worried we all are together about that one coming up. So I'm going to come to you first, Kunjan. Just have a quick sort of thought process about, how you're feeling after that game, really. We haven't got to go into the ins and outs of what happened. Maybe you want to touch on that kick that Saka received, the blatant GBH that Saka received. And just see how you're feeling overall after that game.
So about the game, I think it was Tottenham, which for me was, I think, the best game of the season we've had, and for obvious reasons, beating Tottenham at home and the way we played. I had this conversation with a friend of mine. It reminded me so much. I'm sure you'll remember this game at the Emirates when we beat Manchester United 3-0. I think it was Sanchez and Ozil that ran the show that day. And the Tottenham game was a carbon copy of that. And I was so happy to see Arsenal play this way. Then we went to Brighton, and we all know how that game turned out. And I thought maybe it's just a blip. It was an away game. There was obviously a lot of euphoria and just a few teething issues. But now here we were back at Emirates. We were playing Crystal Palace. We knew who we were up against. We knew what our game plan was, or I thought we did. And again, it just came back to something I've been observing for the past 18 months. We still don't have a style of play. No one can, with Unai Emery, when we had Unai Emery, within the first, I think, 6 months, we knew what we were dealing with. Sure, there was a couple of tweaking here and there, but we knew what we were dealing with. It's been 18 months. Nobody, not a single person, not even maybe the backroom staff can tell you what the style of play is. I've been pro Arteta from the day go, but when against Crystal Palace we scored, and it's literally a blueprint. You watch any game, even against Manchester City, we take the control for the first 10 minutes. What happens after the first 10 minutes? I have absolutely no idea. Is it the instructions? Is it the players? Is it fatigue? I genuinely have no idea. And when we watched the game against Crystal Palace, once we scored the first goal, I genuinely thought we were going to go for the second. I thought we would try and rip Crystal Palace apart. In fact, it was the exact opposite. We literally pulled up the handbrake and said, please come at us. We don't have the personnel. We don't have the tactics. We don't have the structure. And we're at home. The one thing we should do is give the game to Palace, not the other way around. And the last thing in the game, obviously, that was quite heartbreaking. And I know people are very divided about this. But we celebrated an equaliser like we won the World Cup, the Champions League, the Super League, and every competition out there. Like, come on, it was a 2-2 draw. We literally, like Lacazette jumped into the crowd for a 2-2 draw. And sure, call me orthodox, but I remember the game when I think Giroud scored the scorpion kick. Sanchez ran into the goal, got the ball, and told everyone, get back to the center line. We need that's the quality, that's the passion you need. I don't know. I don't. Is it? Are we content with a 2-2 draw at home to a Crystal Palace? Are we literally at a position right now that if we get beaten by, let's say, the likes of Liverpool 1-0, we'd celebrate that. Hey, it was just 1-0. We lost, but it was just 1-0. Have we reached there? And for the first time, I'm asking this question. Like, is it the manager? Is it the mentality? Is it the players? Is it the board? What is it? There is a problem. Now you cannot paper over the cracks. There is a problem, and whatever that problem is needs to be fixed.
And that's the really dispiriting thing, isn't it, Kunjan? Because when he came in, from his very first press conference, he won us all over because he wanted to get rid of that mentality. And he wanted that winning mentality back. He wanted that running right through the club again. And it just hasn't happened. And it's so disappointing. And I'm going to come to you, James. One thing that really was unusual was me and Kunjan discussed this off air before we went live. Arteta's post-match interview on the pitch, he seemed really surprised and disappointed that we sat back after the first goal, as if it wasn't him, it was the players on the pitch that decided to do that. I don't know if you noticed that in the post-match interview.
Yeah.
That's specifically what he said, and it really took me aback, and it took Kunjan aback because we spoke about it off air. And so, if that's the case, what is that? What's actually happening when Arteta is standing on the side of the pitch for the entire game, barking orders at his players? What's he actually saying? And if that's the case, are they just completely ignoring him?
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, so I do watch the post match most of the time because I do like to hear what the pundits have got to say as well as what the manager's got to say. But the last couple of weeks, okay, he's on this unbeaten run, which, blimey, the way people are talking about it, it's nearly more impressive than the 49 unbeaten run in some of these people's eyes. It's absolutely ludicrous. That's the thing with me. People go, oh, it's a results-based industry. Yes, it is. But I also look at the performances, right? Well, I've watched 720 minutes of football in the league. Yeah, eight games, 90 minutes, give or take the extra time and everything else. Like you said earlier, I've had 35 minutes of it that I deem was a wonderful performance. So I've got, if my maths is correct, and bear with me because I did fail it, I think it's 685 minutes of crap that I've watched compared to 35 good minutes. So that's still, what, give or take, about roughly nearly six and a half odd hours or so of rubbish. And for me, yeah, okay, the results are good. It's good that we don't lose, but at the same time, it's all in a bubble, and that bubble is going to burst. And I'm like, and what are you going to do when that bubble does burst? Because for me, I try my best. I don't like to be anti a manager. I don't like to slag off a manager if I can help it. But the excuses and the allowances that have been given, like I heard people going, oh yeah, but it's the players. These aren't. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, 11 of the 13 that played in that game were all signed or renewed by that manager. So that's his team. And that was before the game started. I'm sorry, I look on Twitter. Everybody, when the lineup went out, that's the best team. That's the one he's always wanted. That's the best lineup. Yeah, we're good. Yeah. Oh, this is good. I thought it was only going to be 3-1. This is going to be 4 or 5. Now, I don't know where you think we're going to score 4 or 5. Unless we play West Brom reserves, we don't score 4 or 5 or 6. But yeah, I honestly, yeah, like you said, I really don't know. I mean, I just thought it was lackluster. I mean, we're playing teams that ain't even got their best player. They didn't have Zaha out there. They're playing Odsonne Edouard, who, you can tell by my surname, Johnston, I've got Scottish ties, especially Celtic ties. And that's a guy that's a 6'3" target man. He's playing on the left because they're desperate. They haven't got no one else to play out there. And yet he still is a 6'3" target man, bossing us playing on the left-hand side. If we had to play a target man on the left-hand side, our whole shape would be, we'd be all over the place.
Well, we'd have to actually have a target man first.
Well, exactly. But do you know what I mean? I'm like, Vieira can make these adjustments and he can lose 14 players in a window, completely overhaul how Crystal Palace play. Like, no disrespect to Roy Hodgson. He was hardly the most entertaining guy. He was very, he got sacked from England for being too cautious, a bit like the manager that's in there now. But
the irony.
But I'm like, he's not had to have this 3-year magic process that everyone keeps talking about. I mean, Arteta in the league at the Emirates has 33% win ratio. That's not good enough as an Arsenal. I'm sorry. For your Arsenal manager, 33%, it's not good enough. It's just not good enough. And it's like I said a minute ago, the bubble's going to burst. And it's all, I don't want again another, situation where you've got this divided fan base that are all arguing about a manager again. I don't want that toxicity and that negativity around if I can help it, because I don't think it helps. No. And I mean, we're already in a bad way as it is, but that just makes it even worse for me.
Definitely. And I want to say this this tweet again. I read it out on Ryan's show yesterday from Shard Gooner, at Shard Gooner. It's got, Arteta is remarkably consistent across 66 Premier League games. The first 20, he got 33 points, 32 goals scored, 21 goals against. The next 20, 30 points, 26 goals, 20 against. Final 20, 31 points, 29 goals scored, 23 against. And the last 6 is currently 11 points, 7 goals, 8 against. That's just not good enough.
No.
In anyone's language, it's not good enough at all. And if we draw on Friday, that means we've got 3 defeats, 3 wins, and 3 draws on the trot. So
I don't want to jump the gun, Andrew, because I know you've had your structures of how you want your show done.
No, not at all.
We can't draw on Friday. I think we're going to draw on Friday, but we can't draw on Friday. We can't. We can't. Every time we get a chance, like it seems that when we play on a Monday and whatever, you get that chance to leapfrog. You've had all the other weekends games go, and you're like, right, you know what your job is now. You know what you need to do. Evening, Michael. You know what you need to do, and we still don't do it. We just fail every time. Like every time you get a little chance. If we'd have won that, and then we go into Villa game, we win that, and we're top 6, aren't we? We're like comfortably in the top 6.
Well, if we'd won on Monday and we won on Friday, we would be in the top 4 by a point.
The top
for
4.
24
Well, there
hours.
you go. There you go. Even better. Sorry, I underestimated.
That's sorting the win there for everyone.
Yeah,
That would have been before everyone played, so it would only been for 24 hours. However, when you consider what 5-6 weeks ago we were bottom, that would have been a decent result, a decent return, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But the way things are going, we're going to end up. If we lose, God forbid, if we lose against Villa and we lose against Leicester, that's the same start as the first 10 games last season.
Yeah.
We'll be on 13 points. Mm-hmm. And look how last season went.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to end up hating Mikel Arteta.
No.
I really like the guy. I don't want it to get to the stage where I'm feeling like I was exactly the same under Unai Emery, because you spoke just now, James, about that little unbeaten run that we're on. Look what's happened under Unai Emery with that 21-game unbeaten run. And we were all mostly miserable during that as well. That 21-game unbeaten, that was a false sort of unbeaten run. It gave the wrong impression, because we could all see how poor we were playing and how lucky we were in certain cases, but how dull we were to watch as well. Yeah. And it's what's the change? What is the change at the moment? Apart from that one game against Spurs, which I agree with Kunjan, I genuinely thought, wow, now that's the Arsenal I want to watch. That is, if that's Arteta ball, give me more of that, please, because that is what I want to watch. But it lasted, like you said, James, 30 odd minutes, and that was it. And
if you want to watch it back, there are times where if Ramsdale isn't on top banana form, that could have been a 3-3.
And Kane missed that little lob.
Yeah.
Just went a fraction wide. Yeah. And do you know what pissed me off? We lost the second half after how well we played in the first half. It disappointed me losing that second half. Even though I was still overjoyed about the whole game, I was still disappointed that we didn't ram it home to them even more and twist the knife a bit more to give them a bit more pain. Yeah. So anyway, Ryan, just give us an overall opinion on what your thoughts are. I know I've got a pretty good idea, but for you, after that game on Monday, how you feeling?
We've been talking on podcasts and group chats and all that, and I said last night we're going over the next round of fixtures we've got. We've got lots of Villa, Leicester, got Watford. The thing is, we saw Watford get pummeled at the weekend. We're going to make that look difficult. I guarantee it. We've got Liverpool. We've got Leeds in the cup. We've got Anfield away, Liverpool away at Anfield. We've got Man United away. We've got to play Leeds away in the league, Everton away in the league. These ain't going to be. I can't see us. When you say them teams, even the Watford, as I say, we'll probably get win there, but make a hard work of it. But then all the others, I'm struggling to see, because we've just seen Leicester as well. Talk about Leicester, even though they had a bad run of form start of the season, they've just done over Man United. Villa, even though they dropped 3 points at the weekend, they're scoring goals. Their entire spine is cohesive with what the plan is. They listen to their manager, and like you guys were saying before, 35 minutes of football this season, we've gone, wow. And I think that sort of lulled us in after that game, into a full sense of, mate, maybe this is it. This is where things get going, because they've shown it to us yet again. But then, as you said, second half, we fell off. We allowed them to get a goal back and win the second half. Go to Brighton, weather conditions aside, don't turn up. The other guards apart, he's Lacazette, even though he's young, is making mistakes, giving the ball away. Lacazette doesn't come on to the last 5 minutes. He has no impact in the game, really. And that's another thing about Arteta. He never makes the subs when he needs to make the subs. Or if he does make subs, it's the wrong subs. Like when Saka went off on Monday night, the logical choice was Martinelli. To go for the game and show intent. You're at home, not away. We're not away. The tactic, it doesn't matter what. We're at home or away. We're at home. We're meant to make the Emirates a fortress and go for, like James says, go 1-up against the Palace, for example. You go for it. You finish them off as quick as possible. You get that second and finish that, kill that game, kill the confidence. They sit back. We go 3-4 and all that. That's the Arsenal of old. This Arsenal can't do that. And if Arteta's saying he didn't tell his players to tactically drop deep like they did after going 1-0 up, and invite the pressure on against Palace, for example, and the games we saw against Chelsea, the Man City's, and all that. We're talking about Palace at the moment. If he hasn't told them to do that, and they're still doing it, and they're not listening to him, he's barking orders for half an hour. And then the second half as well, barking orders, get forward, and they're not listening to him, and they're watching. By the way, what the hell is he still here? Then clearly, there's something wrong in the dressing room. If they're not listening to him, he's lost them. Then,
Yeah,
he's clearly lost them.
absolutely. That's why I was. Do you know what? That's what subconsciously I think that's what shocked me most with that post-match interview. That he said that, and you can see in his face and the way that his body language, the way he said that, I think he genuinely meant it, and I think that was a real telling sign that the players are clearly not doing what he wants them to do.
Can I just say though?
So that's a problem for me.
Yeah, well, sorry to butt in, but if he's lost these people that he's just got after 8 weeks, then he's got to go now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you've lost people that you've only had for 2 months, then why carry on? Why carry? Because once you've lost them, you're never going to win them back.
No.
I mean, I'm saying this. I'm saying this from a guy who's never spent a day in football. But any other job that I've had, the minute we all turn on our manager, you're never going to win us back. And we know, and that's the thing. So we know we're going to last longer than you because you're under more pressure. So if that's the case, then yeah, he's got to go now.
Absolutely.
And also, it's a lot easier for an owner to come in, an owner to be there and go, well, what's the quicker solution? Sack a manager and price the entire squad worth of players. Yeah. The manager.
Of course,
the thing is, it's not like Chelsea and Leicester where the players can go to that owner and complain about the manager and get rid. Because I think the only person who has the owner's ear is Mikel Edu, and I don't think that. I think if Aubameyang person, I'm not trying to throw Aubameyang under the bus and say he's the troublemaker, but I think if Aubameyang went to Josh Kroenke or even went to Stan Kroenke probably wouldn't even know who he is.
Yeah, that's it.
We saw under Unai Emery. We pretty much all called it. We were doing our podcast back on all our bits and pieces at the time, and we're saying after the Leicester game he had to go. That was then. That was it. Really.
Yeah, I remember that.
You could tell he'd lost it there.
And there was the international break where you could have got that new manager in, and and they still carried on.
The international break. So you had that time. Bring someone, get him out. Bring someone in. But even even when they a month later got rid of Unai Emery, they completely threw Lundberg under the bus. He wanted they basically sacked Emery, told Freddie he was in charge until further notice, but didn't want to give him any of the stuff that he wanted.
No,
so the players going, we don't with this guy. Don't worry, guys, because he's not going to be here long term, so you don't have to turn up. Which made Freddie's job even harder.
Yeah, so he had the guy that does the transfers on the shirts on the Emirates, was like the masseuse or something, didn't he? Yeah, it's a right mess.
Exactly. Well, Kunjan, another issue I've got at the moment is I can visibly see, and not just recently, but throughout the last year and a half, I can see players just visibly getting worse in front of my eyes as I'm watching them. And we bought, for example, Thomas Partey came in, and he was one of Europe's best midfielders. Worked under one of the best managers. He'd won won pretty much everything that he could in club football. And look at him. He's barely recognisable as a player. And I'm worried that we haven't seen the best of Saka for a very long time. If you're being honest, everyone's blaming it on the summer, on the Euros. But is it the Euros? I don't know, but even towards the end of last season, he wasn't at his best. And we thought he's had a long, hard season. There's been hardly any rest. It was a congested season. So we're always making excuses for our star player because we all love him to bits. He had a great game against Tottenham, but I think everyone did. Everyone raised the game then. But apart from that, I'm worried about him. I'm worried about loads of the players. Look at Kieran Tierney, for example. He's deteriorated rapidly this season. I don't know. You know where I'm going with this. I mean, that's another indictment against Arteta, because I thought he was going to be a great coach, but it looks like he's not improving the players at all. In fact, they're regressing, in my opinion.
So again, I think this is something that, if you listen to the press conferences, it's actually right there. Arteta has made this. I think it was a couple of weeks back where he spoke about overcoaching. He actually said those words. He's like, people think I overcoach or something on those lines, but he spoke about overcoaching. And this is what everyone has criticized him for, that I think there's too much of instructions. Like when you looked at Tomiyasu, as soon as he got in, we loved him. We're like, we love this guy. And, right. And we were, constant time we were speaking of, that we need to get rid of Bellerin, we get a new right back, and Tomiyasu came in. He brought a freshness, and you were like, okay, love this guy. If you look at what, like, even Tavares, whenever he came on, he did something totally different. But if you look at everyone's style of play, there's a certain unhinged factor about them. Martinelli, did you watch him on Monday? He was let go, like, go, play your game. And this, again, comes down to the coach, the manager. If you're going to work with players and you're going to try and wean out certain bits that you don't want, but they eventually become a worse off player, that means you're doing something wrong. Again, I'm not Arteta out. I don't have an issue with him. I'm sure he has a plan, but we need to see it now. We cannot wait for the end of the season. We cannot wait till January to finally see it come to fruition. I'm with Andrew. I'm with James, where we had a phenomenal first half. And I'm not kidding. Deep down in my heart, I was like, this game should end 5-0. When their one goal went in, it broke my heart, because I was like, we let that goal go in. And we could have let in way many more goals. We were complacent, but we were very euphoric because it was a North London derby. We played very well in the first half. We were complacent. And yes, sure. Again, I can't make sense of it, because if Arteta's instructions against Crystal Palace were score a goal, hold back, let's soak in the pressure, and we get them on the counter, I'd say, okay, not the smartest of decisions. He's not the smartest of tacticians. It's on him. He's openly coming out and saying, I don't like it when my players did that. And again, if you track back to even Unai Emery, I think Ryan said this, and he said that we can't change all the players, and he's right, we can't. But there is a certain, for lack of a better word, there's a certain virus that is within a certain group of players. Because even with Unai Emery, he used to give certain instructions and they were not followed. And you could see it. You could see it. When we played against Fulham, despite the result, Unai Emery did not want that free-flowing football. He wanted us to counter. He wanted us to soak in the pressure. But we didn't. If you remember Aaron Ramsey, he was making the runs into the boxes. And Unai Emery did not want that. He wanted Ramsey to play deeper. But Ramsey was still making those runs. So there is a certain virus where certain players must be like, I know better. And whatever name you put out there to replace Arteta, whoever he is, whenever that change happens, or if ever that change happens, he must come in with one ethos, and that is, you play my way or there's the door. But there's so much at stake, because this whole rebuilding project, getting the Tomiyasus, getting the Tavares, the Ben Whites, the Ramsdales, you're building for the future, and you're building for the future with one man's perspective in mind. That perspective is not going right. Whoever comes over and then gets rid of those players again will end up going 3 years backwards.
You see,
if we're complaining about 18 months right now, the minute Arteta walks out that door and the new manager comes and says, I don't want these players, we're going to go 18 months backwards plus another 18 months.
You see, I thought, I've got a strong suspicion, though, that these players were brought in without, a specific manager in mind. personally. I know that Arteta would have had some kind of input into certain parts of that, but I think the whole going young ethos is for the club and not for a specific manager, personally.
Yes, but if you look at the style again, like why Ben White is complementary to a Gabriel. Gabriel isn't the guy who carries the ball forward and sprays a pass. He's the robust, no nonsense tackler that I assure you, I love Gabriel, but every time he makes a tackle in the penalty area, I poop myself because I'm like, something could go wrong over here.
But he has had the most touches and the most passes since Xhaka left the team.
And here's the irony: if you watch Crystal Palace, it was Gabriel who was driving forward with the ball. It wasn't Ben White. No. Ben White was sitting back, and Gabriel was taking the ball forward. I think it was in the second half. He covered, I think, 1/3 of the pitch alone, and then he looked up and he's like, okay, and he sprayed it to the right. But what I'm saying is that even Aaron Ramsdale playing from the back, why is Leno become insignificant right now? Because Ramsdale, and I was one of the biggest critics of Ramsdale. I'll be very honest. It was actually on this channel where I said I'm not very excited about Ramsdale, and I put my hands up saying I was wrong. The kid has a future. He's going to do great wherever he goes. But when you're saying that the ethos is young, yes, that is the ethos. But the style of play, I do believe there is something, and it needs to come out soon. And if it doesn't, he needs to come out soon. And I'm not Arteta out, but if your plan is not coming into fruition, if your style is not being seen, millions of people have no idea what. If today you ask any Chelsea fan, what is Thomas Tuchel's style? In a second, they'll tell you. The only two clubs in the Premier League, in the top 6, people have absolutely no idea what their style is, are Arsenal and Manchester United. Even Tottenham, everyone knows what their style is. They know this is Mourinho 2.0. Everybody knows the style. Manchester United, no one speaks about them because I think Arsenal is the easy scapegoat. But again, I don't want to speak about United. That's not my club. My club's Arsenal. I want to speak about Arsenal. United can do what they want. They can go sign Ronaldo. They can go sign Van Nistelrooy from as much as I care. But we need to focus. And again, I'm sorry, I digress. But post Ronaldo signing, you must have read the news. Now there's this new hype. Let's re-sign Sanchez. Let's re-sign Oxlade-Chamberlain. How is that going forward? How is that going forward?
Exactly.
Talk to me about players. Talk to me about players who are going to take the club forward. And again, that's a long way off. But right now, we need to stamp our style. Even if it's a boring style, stamp it. Let the fans know this is what you're doing.
Exactly. We even when George Graham was getting criticised left, right, and centre for his style of football, we were still winning trophies left, right, and centre. Arsenal fans couldn't give a monkeys. Arsenal fans loved the 1-0 to the Arsenal because we knew the way we played. We loved the team, we loved the manager, and everyone else can go fuck themselves. So that's what we loved, and I wouldn't care less is that we've got something to get behind. You know, that's what I miss. I miss that attacking football. And do you know what? I'm going to come to you, James, and touch on something that Kunjan said about Manchester United, etc. And the thing is with Man United, obviously they've got a hell of a front line, loads of options in their front line. Our players, you know, they're not going to be comparable with the likes of their Ronaldo and all the players that they've got up front there. However, we've got some really exciting players ourselves.
Yeah.
But Man United, even though they've got a shit manager, they will go and win games and score goals, like 1, 2, 3 goals in pulses throughout games. Like they'll go and hit someone for 3 goals within 15 minutes in a match. But I think that's a lot of it is down to the players that they've got on the pitch, thinking, fuck this, I'm a great player, I'm going to go and show people what I can do, and just go and do it, despite the manager. Probably despite the manager's instructions. They'll just go and do that because they can. But our players just don't even do that. You know, our quality players, they seem to have lost all confidence in themselves from when you're looking at them. They don't go and try and do so. The only occasion I can think of off the top of my head is Kieran Tierney against West Brom in the snow last season, when he thought, fuck this, I ain't losing this game like this. And he just went and done something, didn't he? Stuck it in the net. We don't see that anywhere near as what we should because of the quality of players we've got, despite the manager. And I just think it's really strange. I keep going back to the players regressing, and I'm just worried about it. And I don't know what you think.
What I think on that, I know Kunjan summed it up when he said, I don't really want to talk about Man United because I'm an Arsenal fan. But the thing for me is we've got a manager that went and worked with Pep Guardiola, who is arguably one of the most meticulous and thorough managers in world football and that we've ever seen. Like, the work that the guy does pre-game, after game, everything, he's just thorough, because he's a disciple of, the Cruyffs and that Barcelona way. And, Johan Cruyff is arguably one of the inventors of the best attacking style of football that has ever existed. So, Ollie, for me, I think his training was with Mike Phelan, wasn't it, when he was the academy guy? Do you know what I mean? I think literally Ollie just goes, there's the balls, go and play. Because he's not got that tactical. And I think, like you said, these players are too scared that if they don't do what the manager's going to say, they're going to get a rollicking. And they're like, I don't need the earache. I don't need the ag. Whereas at Man United, I think it's like you said, like I just said a minute ago, they just do what you want. Just go play. Like, let's go play and let's try and win. I don't think there's no real. I mean, I was seeing them humping the, years and years ago when they had the Fellaini and all that in there, I was calling them Champagne Stoke. They were Stoke with 250 million quid. And it's like they've gone back to that again. They're just trying to pump it long to Ronaldo. And I mean, they're talking about when Varane gets back, Lindelof comes out. I'm like, no, you take Maguire out and keep Lindelof in. Some of the passes Lindelof made against Leicester, they're quite tasty, quite tidy. But I'm like, why drop him? Maguire's your weak link, not him.
Yeah. They're losing 2-0 at home to Atlanta.
There you go. You talked about all that attacking start, all those players they've got and all the attackers they've got. It's like giving the Pope a big penis, mate. You got all that. You got all that. And you can't use it. You got all that, and you can't use it. It's a shame.
Well, I'm not even going to go down that wormhole because I can get myself in a whole heap and a whole world of trouble.
Yeah, my heart's bleeding, mate. I'm so sad for him. I'm so sad for him.
Yeah, I know. We've had some good comments. I'm just going to quickly, before we carry on, just give some due to some of the comments we've been getting. First thing, Shane, thanks for watching, Shane, again. He said, do you think because fans will continue going to games regardless of the results, because of not being able to go for 18 months, of course, that no fans in a stadium is the only way to get rid of the management? I think we'll come on to that in a little while, Shane, but that's a great comment. And we touched on that yesterday, didn't we, Ryan? We'll talk about that in a bit. Excuse was give Arteta a chance to get his players in, get his feet under the table. What has improved since? What player is playing at top of his game right now? I'm totally agree. That's from Michael Harris. Is that Michael from Geordie Arsenal? Yeah. Thanks ever so much for watching, Michael. Top man. And this is a really, really interesting one I put on the screen earlier that Michael said, my missus was near the director's box on Monday night and overheard Tony Adams and David Dean, what legends, what I'd give to have them back in the club, a proper moan about Edu, basically saying, what the fuck is he doing? I mean, that is just gold. Absolute gold, that is. If they're saying that, then...
And one of them two used to do his job and did a good job for 20-odd years.
Fantastic job. To be fair, I mean, it's not too far out of the question to say we've not really been the same since. No, I mean, that's a long time ago. He walks out 10 years, maybe, if not more. Russ saying, thanks for watching again, Russ. We're too rigid in the structure. Can you see Ten Hag leave Ajax to come to Arsenal? Again, 100%. I think it's the managerial. I think 100%. Anyone can come. I had this conversation with you again, Ryan, last night, didn't I? I've got no issue with Arsenal being able to attract any managers at the moment. We are probably really attractive to any manager at the moment. because
I hate
we've
repeating
done a lot of the
myself.
hard work. We've done a
Yeah.
lot of the hard work, haven't we?
Well, yes, that, but I hate repeating myself because I swear I said it before when we did the podcast earlier this year. But the expectation is so low that all they've got to do is finish in a Europa place. So a manager will go, I ain't even got to get them top 4. I've just got to get them top 6. So I'll have that. Yeah, thank you. I'll take that. Easy peasy. And Michael makes a great comment here about where it's the coaching. I agree with him. I do agree with him. I think everything else, personnel has changed, people upstairs have changed, and at the moment the one constant is the manager, and the manager isn't getting the best out of the players. So, like I said, that perfect bubble, is going to burst. I mean, tactically, like you said, that second half. That substitution for me, you were right, Ryan. He should have gone for Martinelli, and we should have gone for the game. I mean, Partey on his own was getting a bit run in midfield towards the end of the first half. But I'm like, no, you could have stuck with that a bit more and gone for it. And then, the Benteke goal, that guy only ever seems to score against us. The second, I know Ben White said he didn't watch football when he was young and he mostly listened to music and did other things. I think he's a fan of Michael Jackson because he just kept moonwalking and moonwalking. I mean, I saw Ramsdale getting pelters, right? And I thought, whoa. Because they're like, oh, it's in the middle of his goal. He should have done. I'm like, Edward, my eyes must have been lighting up going, that gap to the goal is going from that to that to that to that to that to that to that. So Ian Wright said, do not blame that goalkeeper. So if anyone knows, it's him. He's like, I'm sorry, I blame Ben White. And saying I don't like digging him out, but I'm sorry, you've got to engage. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? We got a guy that's getting plaudits galore over in France that you're supposedly better than. I'm like, he would have engaged him. He might have even kicked him. Probably.
Exactly.
But apparently him and that certain player, and Guendouzi, have got the in the team of the month for Ligue 1.
Yeah.
But hey, they're not good enough for Arsenal.
No, it's madness. It's absolute madness. And people call it the donut of shame, where we do that, where it just goes round and round. I call it the unmagic roundabout. I know I look a bit like Dougal myself. Oh my god, it's just like you said, Tierney. People were going to me, oh my god, he's having an absolute stinker. I'm like, well, no, he's just been closed out. He can't do anything. And when he did, I'm used to Tierney going to the byline and whipping him 34 crosses to nobody. But when he got in that position, he was just cutting it back sideways. So even he's not doing what he normally does.
He had his one moment, didn't he?
When he smashed it.
I'm going to smash it now. That crossbar is still rattling, I'm telling you.
No, I just think that, especially Friday, I think he's got to go. Just go for it, boys. I think that because.
Well, it's going to be the last thing any team that plays us at the moment is going to expect. Is for us to completely pile on incessant pressure.
Yeah, but I saw someone saying teams still fear us. I was like, I'll give out, have a laugh.
No.
I could become a manager of a club tomorrow.
Yeah,
in the Premier League. When I play Arsenal, I'd be confident I might get a point. And I said earlier, I've never spent a day in football. I could be appointed Newcastle manager tomorrow, and I reckon when it's the Arsenal game, I could get a point.
Yeah.
What sums up this season is Norwich are whipping boys of the league this season. Now, let's be honest, they are. Come to us, no fear, lost 1-0. They could have nicked it. They could have nicked a draw as well at the end. And again, it's not having to go at Arteta. There's more to it than just obviously Arteta, the coaching and all that. It goes upstairs. There's no coincidence. The dominant factor since the decline of our club, the club we've known and loved, from the glory days all the way since right to now, the one dominating factor is Stan Kroenke from being majority shareholder to now the full owner of the club. Year by year, we're getting worse and worse and worse and worse. The ground, the Emirates isn't taken care of. Or the little bit of paint job in the tunnel. You have to fucking do that, but that side is absolutely mad. We've got tennis balls in the circle of the cannon and things like that, jammed in for the last year, never been taken care of. The paint's peeling. There's no care. There's no love for the club from the owners. It occurs that, and again, when it went off in April with the Super League stuff, and Josh Kroenke did that fan forum, and he was like, "Oh, I want the pandemic to be over because I want to be back. I want to relocate to the UK. be in London 24/7, match days, be down the pub with you guys, and the drink, all PR rubbish, just to try and get the fans on side. And I've never brought in it does my head in that when we had a chance to make our voices heard, people said it was raining and they bottled it. And now we're stuck with him because we're not putting pressure on him. We've got Vinay, who's not a football man, in a big role at the club. We've got Edu, who is, with all due respect, a rookie. He's learning his job. Who needed someone either alongside him, like an overmars, or someone experienced alongside him to help him learn the trade and guide him to become, next 2-3 years, what he could possibly be, a great director of football. And then we've got a rookie manager. And yet we're seeing the club, for the last, since the season started this season, I've seen the club unleash literally 3-4 different bits of merch. They now released this week merchandise for the winter. 220 quid for a fucking winter jacket. It's taking the piss, but they can't go out and spend the money.
Ryan, as soon as the final whistle went after the Palace game, they were shilling merch on the Twitter account.
Of course,
literally before they even did the man. Who you think the man of the match poll is going to be? It was the winter rate. I'm like, read the room.
Exactly.
But then again, what is the room? Because the room to me would be after that 2-2. Okay, I get celebrating. Yeah, like you said, Kunjan, a bit over the top. But I get it because you've rescued a game that you were potentially going to lose.
It's not even that. If you play football at any level, you go mad when you score a goal. It's one of the best feelings in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and last kick, I mean, I thought he was going to blow as soon as we took the corner. So I was surprised that Mike Dean allowed that to happen. But for me, I'd have been like, all of you in, do your clap and everything. Thank all the people that have come out and everything in. Well, and I'd have been like, right, you lot, we're lucky. Yeah, right, we got away with one there. And then I'd be going, right, from Friday, and I'd be starting it there. I wouldn't be, hugging them and all that. Yes, we got a point against Palace at home. That's nothing to be gloating and overly celebrating about.
No, exactly.
I'll finish my point. The mentality of the club, it all stems from the ownership. No matter what we think of the manager or coach or this, that, and the other at the ground level, how the club is run, it sticks with the whole of the club, and it's and how he runs it is rotten, or they run it. It is rotten, and it's gotten worse and worse over the years. And I was on Harry Simu's channel a couple just after the season started, like match day 2, I think, after Chelsea, and I was saying it's all well and good us going off on one and having a go at a chat and asking him and basically demanding him losing his job and this, that, and the other. It ain't going to change why we've got an owner. What we've got the American Mike Ashley. Let's put it bluntly. We have. He's got a load of money. Doesn't like to spend it. He just squeezes it and uses us as a fucking piggy bank. His only real interest is his LA Rams, and he uses us as a collateral for anything goes wrong over there. And I'm sick of it. Until we get him out, any other manager we bring in while he's here, it's going to have the same issues every year. And I said last night on my podcast, I'm sick. This will be the 3rd year now where I'm at a point where I feel like writing the season off, domestic, like league-wise.
I disagree. I disagree with your last point, Ryan. I think that if you went the way of, say, and I know Liverpool spent a lot of money, but most of it was money that they earned. They went, right, let's get a top manager. I think if we got a top-tier manager, I mean, there's not many that are in the mould of Klopp that are available at the moment. But if you got someone that I would deem that top brass, I think they could do better with the players that even with Kroenke as an owner.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, but again, the problem we have is you will get people going, you gave him nearly £300 million. I want the same, and will he do it again? That's the bit that I do worry about, because I don't think he's going to give another person 300 million anytime soon.
Well,
it's like Kunjan said earlier, this has all been done in one guy's image. So that's why they're going to stick with him until it really, really goes up.
We need a coach. We need a coach, not a manager who comes in and says we need 300 million quid. This is the thing. This is what the model we were supposed to have until they changed Arteta to a manager. Yeah. What we need is someone, like I said yesterday, we need someone like a Luis Campos in to run the whole shebang. Because Edu, I don't think, has got anything you know, I can't see any ammo at the moment to hit Edu with it really badly, because he's done quite a good job, in my opinion, getting rid of the players that we've got rid of and bringing in the players that we needed, and good quality young players. I think he did all right this summer, and I think he did all right in last January window as well. But we need someone above him to manage the whole shebang.
I think
But then we need a
Edu's
coach to coach the players.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think Edu's safe because he'd go, well, hang on, I'm getting him what he's telling me to get. So what happens over that white line is on him. It ain't on me. So I think he's going to be like, I'm immune from the sack. Really, I'm immune because I'm only doing what I'm told. I mean, we got told that Edu wanted the Brazilian goalkeeper from Barcelona. Is it Neto?
Neto.
And he also wanted Emerson Royale. And Arteta went, no, I want Ramsdale and I want Tomiyasu. So he caved because last year, if you remember, Arteta wanted the Hussam Aouar, didn't he? But we got Partey instead. And Edu overdone him on that. And he, you know, like we said earlier, this is all his team, his players. And if he can't get a tune on it out of them, that's on him. And he's got to go. He's got to go.
Yeah, definitely.
But it can't, as Andrew said, they can't make the mistake that they did. Because when they obviously initially hired Arteta, it was as a head coach. After the FA Cup win, they were, you know what, we're going to change everything up again, change the blueprint and give him a manager's role. It screwed everything up again. It's put more pressure on Arteta as well, put more responsibility on his, more stuff to his armoury, when he should be just on the thing doing what he was doing before. Because before, if we're being honest, before he got given the manager's title as a head coach, we were seeing things in a good way. He was getting responses from the players, even in the return of the Premier League, even though we lost a couple of games and things like that. There's still positive signs going forward that, you know what, because of the FA Cup, especially with the FA Cup, that sort of rounded it home. Like, but as soon as they give him the manager's job, everything's just gone to pop for him, really, because he's got more responsibility, and I don't think he can cope with that. And if they go back in their thing now and take him back to being a head coach, I don't know what that's going to do for him mentally. And plus, you've got the eyes of the world watching you, the media. We've seen for the last just over 3 seasons, it would be Steve Bruce's 3rd season now, where from day one he's had abuse, not just from the Newcastle fans, but from the media. He's been hounded from day one. What can that do to him? We've heard statements from today saying this could be my last job because mentally that's took not just on me, my family. And everyone's different, but Arteta's a young man trying to work his way into the world of management or head coach wise, and he's obviously I think he's bit off more than he can chew, but he's tried it. He had the balls to do it, but he's now been hounded, and it's the media love it. Every time we drop points or we lose embarrassing to Man City, they're on him and certain other players. It's easy, but when Man United, like, for example, we're saying tonight they're losing as we speak. They lost at the weekend after being 1-0 up and they went 2-2 and this, that, and the other. Whenever they mess up, they don't get half to. It's easy for us. That's like George Graham said years ago after the Battle of Old Trafford. When the media went in for us and not them, we're an easy target. But you know what? Back then, he had the right mentality. Let's let them do what they got to do. We'll concentrate on our job. We'll do our job and show our response on the pitch. And what happened? We go and win the league in '91. We go and win the League Cup and FA Cup double, a European Cup Winners' Cup. You can't complain. You can't ever go at him then because he's doing stuff. But again, like we say about the coaching and all that, these players and like Cousin Jed as well, about certain players that are still here, that are still rotten. Wenger players, let's be honest. There's players that are still here from the end of Wenger's time that are still here. And it's no coincidence. It's most of the players that we've got rid of from that era have been causing the problems. And we've still got a few of them left.
Yeah.
Until we get every single player from that era out and got gone, like a clean sweep there, we ain't going to. And that's another thing we won't see improvement on mentality wise. Because they're always going to be there thinking they're the big bollocks because they've worked under Arsene Wenger for X amount of time. And that's
why I've never criticised
down tools on him and eventually grinded the club down to get him out. they think they're the really big bollocks. They got out the greatest manager we've ever had in our history, like that.
Yeah, and I would never criticise the club for paying off these people, paying up the rest of their contracts to get them out of the club, because it's not great for business, no, but it's great for the club and the team in the dressing room. It's like whipping off that plaster just quickly, just get it done, get them out of the club. That's really important, and I was really delighted that they actually did that and swallowed the pill and just got it done, because I wish we'd done it to all of them, but obviously COVID and everything, we couldn't afford to do it with all of them all in one go. But I hope we do that this January as well, because we've got players like Klasnach and I don't think we can afford to get rid of El Neni with African Cup of Nations and everything coming up and everything. But we've got Klasnach in particular, that his contract's running out in the summer anyway. He's just sitting there. Might as well just pay him up his contract, get him gone in January.
I know he scored the other night, but you got Lacazette, you got Nketiah that aren't renewing.
Loads.
Yeah,
with loads. But I mean,
Callum Chambers, I think he has about a couple of months left.
Yeah, exactly. We've got loads of them. So, I mean, I wish we could just get rid of the whole bloody lot of them, because our squad is bloated anyway. But just call it quits and just start again. But that is when I would love to have someone like the Campos come in who has a proper long-term strategy. I said this yesterday. I'm sorry for repeating myself, Ryan. You heard it yesterday. But when Campos buys someone, it's like if we need, say, a right-sided, central midfielder, for example, he won't go out and just buy one that's great. He will look at the player behind him, the player that plays to the left of him, the player that plays in front of him, and he won't buy someone unless they all fit together like a jigsaw. He thoroughly researches the team and how they play. That's the type of player, the guy that we need in charge of our club. And then if the coach does mess up, this is what where the benefit of that is. You can get rid of the coach and get another coach in, because your head of football is the one that sets the tone for the whole club and how we're going to play football. And the coach just has to come in and do the best on the training pitch and get them to play well. He's not going to affect the players. He's not going to come in and say, look, I need this player, this player, this player. He said, no, sorry, you're here to coach these guys. That's what we need. Someone with strength at the top of the club. Someone with real power.
Yeah, I'll ask everyone here, if you could pick one manager, so, I know I don't really like dealing in hypotheticals, but let's say, it happens, who you picking and why?
Kunjan first.
Zidane.
Good shout. Yeah. No, fair enough.
Zidane. And there's no discussion. I mean, again, a good example of lack of experience got thrown into a team full of superstars and lots of heritage, lots of pressure. And this is a guy who took the job, left the job, came back, and then left the job. And he's dealt with every ego possible on the planet. If you've dealt with Ronaldo and you've been successful, you know what you're doing. However, if you do read up a couple of articles from the past, you will also realize that Zidane did also succumb to the egos. He did succumb, and this is okay. We'll get to this opinion later, but I strongly believe that a lot of it, and this is not me defending Arteta, but there's a lot of it that we need to speak out and decipher. Andrew mentioned Arteta's first press conference. I remember that press conference. I remember the behind the scenes where he went to Mertesacker asking if Arsenal have drones. He was charged. He said he has a game plan. He said he wants to play free-flowing attacking football. Are you telling me at the time, Vinay, Edu, even I think Sanielli was in at that time.
Yeah.
Well, let's not talk about the Cronkies. The Cronkies would not even, they put a potato as their manager, and they'd say he's doing a great job. I'm saying, like, I'm pretty sure there's something, and I said this during the Wenger era, and it's coming out now. I said this to a lot of people, that it's not Wenger's failing. And I know it's a very unpopular opinion. We should have never gotten rid of Wenger. And I know people say, no, there was something going wrong. Yes, and it was not Wenger. There was something in the system that is going wrong, that bled on from Wenger to Unai Emery. That's bled on from Emery to Arteta, and it's going to bleed from Arteta to the next guy. And that's the time we'll just keep getting to this vicious cycle where we'll never get out of it. So even if it's Zidane, even if it's Conte, even if it's Ten Hag, we're going to find ourselves in the situation again and again and again.
Thanks for cheering me up then, Kunjan. That's great.
Yeah, all the positivity I can give. The optimist I am.
What about you,
Top
James?
process next.
What about you, James? Who would you go for?
Yeah, it's Ten Hag for me. The thing that I keep always saying is who Arsenal are and where Arsenal are. That's what you have to look at now. You have to reassess. You have to rethink. And for me, Ten Hag, he took a team that I think the average age of them was 21.1, and he got them to a Champions League semi-final. Our team Monday night against Palace was 23.6, I think. I'm trying to. I can pull it up.
You've obviously got Aubameyang in that, making that a lot higher than it should be.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You need a guy that can get young players basically over the line. And I think I think, like we said earlier, every manager, I think, would be approachable because they haven't really got a hard job at the end of the day. But I think that's a guy that you can trust. You can go. First of all, you will go, right, well, the football's probably going to pick up because he's from Ajax, The style's going to pick up. So that's, you please the fans with that. If
you could bring Gravenberch with him as well.
Well, say we score 3 or 4 goals in his first game, everyone's going to go mad. They're going to think, bloody hell, this is amazing. Where's this been? So,
get Ryan Gravenberch to come with him and Mark Overmars as well. Just make him a deal for the whole lot of them.
Well, the way we're playing at the moment, I know he didn't pull up trees at West Ham, but I'd be signing Haller.
Yeah.
He's a target. He's a target man that scores goals. I'm like, I'd be going and getting him. If we're going to go back to 34 crosses from Tierney a game, he will at least score maybe 1 or 2.
I don't think we would, though, would we, under Ten Hag, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But no, he's either him or Brendan Rodgers, I said yesterday, because he also is excellent with working with young players and working with what he's given. He's never had a big transfer kitty. Even when he was at Liverpool, he sold his best players. He didn't bring expensive players in. He did the job, obviously, at Celtic. I know there wasn't much competition up there. But then, obviously, he's playing really good football, and he improves players. That's what I like about him. He improves players, gets the best out of them. But it needs to be him or Ten Hag for me as well. What about you, Ryan? What would you do?
I'm leaning more towards what's available. Well, I'll not say what's available because obviously he's out of the job at the moment, but Ten Hag. And basically what you're saying, add into the equation, not. He's he's obviously with a budget as well at Ajax, but he's proven, he's got a philosophy, like James has said. And he improves, as you said, Sebastian Haller couldn't get a touch in the Premier League at West Ham. Goes over to Ajax and he's scoring goals. He scored 4 goals every week in the Champions League. Like that. He improves. And we're saying, obviously, about under the current manager that certain players that we've had for a while are digressing, they're dropping off their performances and things like that. Well, with someone like Ten Hag who's got a proven track record of coming in or bringing players into his club and putting an arm around them or doing something right to get them confident, have the confidence. Because we have got players that are confident-based players. Their form is based on confidence. Their Pepes of this world and things like that. They put their arm around him. He's not afraid. And again, what was mentioned in the Champions League games, they were just seconds away from the final. Seconds away from the Champions League final with that squad. And that was pretty much the majority of that squad was from the youth squad. So he's not afraid to dip into the youth squad. If they're good enough, that bring them in. No matter what their age is, you bring them in. And do things like that. And the likes of Saka and Smith Rowe we've already got there, they'll just elevate as well. And I think it's like you say, Andrew, there's no pressure on him really coming in because we don't know European football. So his first season, if he comes in his first full season and gets us into Europa League or comes in now, gets into Europa League into the season, straight away everyone's going to think of him as a god because he's done something we didn't believe it would be possible this season or next season or whatever. And it's obviously the next target is improving on that, go and getting a couple of players you want. That's a couple, because we've done, as you said earlier, the majority of the hard work that Arteta had and Emery had was getting rid of players. Arteta and Edu and all that have done.
Yeah.
Bad apples. You get rid of them as well. And you add a few here and there, depending on what happens this season, going into next season. You add a couple here and there of your own ilk that brought into your philosophy as well. And I think he'd be cooking on gas. He's got no pressure. He's got, in the sense of, he's doing fantastic fights. And if you look at that Ajax team as well, when they got to that semi-final, and obviously the aftermath of it, everyone in the world basically was like, that's it, the whole team's going to be torn apart this summer, and basically everyone's going to be taking this here and there. 2 players have left, like high-profile players have left. Ziyech is at Chelsea, who's not really pulling up trees at the moment, let's be honest.
Total waste.
And Donny van de Beek, who's on the bench at United. I don't understand how the hell is that player on the bench. But before I go aside for a second, that's a fantastic. I was crying out for him.
We should make a cheeky bid for him, because I think he'd be fantastic.
I think if we got Ten Hag, we was able to get Ten Hag on or whoever in, because he has that connection, that relationship with Donny. I think if we would go in for him, it'll be a lot easier, because Donny knows him, he trusts him, he knows he'll give him to game time.
You've got to be specific though with Edu, otherwise they'll go and buy Donny Osmond instead. Just make sure it's Donny van de Beek, not, But no, do you know what? The overall thing with Ajax as well, I always sort of compared Ajax with Arsenal as a sort of an institution, a real class history, doing things the right way, bringing through your own players, getting success that way rather than going out and buying all the best players in the market. You do it organically. I've always sort of had a similarity with Ajax and Arsenal as well as the overall institution. I've always had that sort of feeling since I was a kid. So
we have that banner, don't we? We don't buy stars, we make them. That's pretty much Ajax as well. They're the same
exactly.
sort of model.
That's right. And that's why I think it fits. I think he would fit personality-wise. I think his whole persona would fit the club. So, I really would see that as... And he's been there a long time now, hasn't he, as a manager? I mean, he must be, able to be persuaded to a new challenge. He must be sort of thinking, well, I could do with a new challenge now. I've been here quite a long time.
You know what? I was just thinking of it as you were chatting as well. If we were to bring Ten Hag in, would it cross his mind to bring someone like Dennis Bergkamp, someone that's Arsenal, the history he has with the fan base, the connection, anything that Dennis Bergkamp has? And Bergkamp, we all know Bergkamp said to him, right, I'd love not to be a head coach, but just to be a coach and train the next generation, things like that. So would that be a possibility?
Yeah, he only has to travel domestically at the moment. He don't have to get on any plane.
Yeah, exactly.
There's even more chance of him coming. We're only playing in England unless we get drawn against Cardiff or Swansea or something. In we don't have to go abroad.
Something so small like that gets the fan base on board as well. With
100%.
That would 100% like.
His problem was with Overmars, wasn't it? Him and Overmars fell out apparently. So I don't know whether I'm sure he's not got a problem with Ten Hag, but I don't understand why he's not at the club. Hasn't been at the club for years and years. I don't know. I mean, Michael said Parlour. He said Parlour's offered his services to come in and sort it out. I mean, all jokes aside, when you're struggling,
sign him in January.
The club. No, I mean, you need to get him in to do like pep talk. Get him in into the changing room after a training session. Get them to come in and do some like positive talks and things like that. I mean, you've got to try something. I mean, I don't understand these players. I just want to go up to them and give them a good shake and say, "What the fuck are you doing?" I
was watching the Soccer Box, the Perez episode last night. It was on the Sky, and Perez said in training, sometimes he'd have his lazy days, but you had Pat Rice, and obviously an Arsenal man, in his ear 24/7, and he said that helped him. He thrived on that, and I think that these players clearly need that, because again, since Pat Rice has retired, we haven't had that. We've obviously had Steve Bold promoted, but he's not that same ilk, if that makes sense. Because obviously there's a bit of a generation gap between him and Pat Rice, and Pat Rice was like, from that generation of you work, you graft, you leave everything on the training pitch and on the pitch. And I think we do need that. This is why I say, not just at board level, when we sort of need the Arsenal men, the football men, at the board level. We need Arsenal men in the coaching roles, from Tony Adams up to the Sol Campbells and things like that.
Just not as the manager.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, just literally just come in, defend, like have a Tony Adams or Sol Campbell as the defence coach, have David Seaman as the goalkeeping coach. Ex-players that have in the recent years that the fans will know and love, that have that connection with the fan base and know what it is to win things and what you have to do to get to that. Because again, when David Seaman, when he came in, Bob Wilson was here, and that helps him as well. Because obviously Bob Wilson, back in the part of the double winning 71 team, and part of what pushed David Seaman to be as good as he was at Arsenal was from day one. Bob Wilson said to him, "You've got a lot of pressure on your hands. I'm the only goalkeeper in the club's history to win a double." He went on to win 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Little things like that push it make you want to better yourself and leave it and achieve the best you can achieve. And we haven't got that at this club at the moment. We've got Steve Round, for fuck's sake.
I know.
I have 2 shouts for another manager we could sign.
Go for it.
Yeah.
So I can't excuse the pronunciation. So the first gentleman I think we should try to look for is Yuri Vernidub.
You made that one up?
No, I promise. He exists. He's 55 years old. He's Ukrainian, and he's managing a very exciting team called Sheriff Tiraspol.
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Look at qualified, didn't
But using Ryan's logic, the second gentleman will make a lot of sense and will make the whole fan base happy. Let's sign Thierry Henry. He's going to run us down because he's a pathetic manager. We've seen that track record. No, hear me out. This is genius. We get Thierry Henry. We get everyone excited because he's an invincible. He's going to run us down. We're going to be in big trouble. The Cronkies will be depressed. They will sell to Daniel Ek. Daniel Ek gets Henry onto the board and says he can't manage, and thus we get a world-class manager. Everyone's happy.
Yeah, unless we can skip that part and just get the world-class manager. That'd be quite good.
If. The word is if. The word is if.
No, I totally get what you mean. It's, but yeah, I mean, people like Adams having a place on the board, and that would excite me a bit more as well. Making sure he knows that he will try and get things done the right way. That, you know, with the history in mind, with the club in mind, getting things done. That'd be fantastic to see people like that on the board as well, including even like people like Thierry Henry, Ian Wright. Imagine him around the board table. That'd be fantastic.
If I'm not mistaken, I think it was in Wenger's last years. There was that suggestion that came up, having a lot of these players like the Invincibles and the Tony Adams, and I remember I read somewhere that the problem was that there'd be such big egos in the boardroom that the manager's voice would get lost in there.
This is the problem. I don't think the manager should have a big say in the running of the club.
He never wanted anyone above him, that would be above his head. I'm sorry. Remember when Steve Bold first come in, and we had those first couple of games, and everyone was going, "Oh, this is Steve Bold because he's there now doing the defending." And then all of a sudden, it went completely. It collapsed after a while, and they said, "Oh yeah, he's not as involved as much." Yeah, I'm sorry. As much as you can laud Arsene Wenger, there is a lot that you can bash him with, and one of the big things was that he clinged on too long, and his ego got too big.
Yeah.
Well,
that's it.
Sorry, when you mentioned that, obviously, when Steve Bold got promoted to obviously replace Pat Rice, and you mentioned obviously the first few games, we, as you say, defensive, we were sound, and it came out that obviously he was literally getting the entire squad to one side and doing defensive work with them, drills, everything that George Bam used to do with him. Wenger didn't like the praise it was getting and stopped it. And then obviously Steve Bob became a null and void and just sat there and based for the next
Yeah,
4 or 5 years.
Now he's unemployed.
Super glued himself onto the bench and never moved for the rest of the
Yeah.
time, didn't he? Until he started taking over the under-23s. I'm going to move things on now to Friday just quickly and just have a run round to see how you would sort of set the team up really for Friday to get this win, get this much needed win on Friday. What you think the changes should be? We'll go back round again in order. I'll go back to you, Kunjan, first. What do you think? What changes do you think need to be made? And I'm not talking about sack the manager and get someone else in before Friday. I'm talking about on the pitch.
I don't think Saka is going to be fit for Friday.
I'd be surprised.
He didn't train today.
No.
Yeah, he did not train today. Okay, this is difficult because Aubameyang scored, but the energy Lacazette brought in, and again, history has suggested Lacazette does well off the bench. Aubameyang does not. I think Aubameyang comes with the same energy that he is from minute 1 to minute 90, even if he comes off the bench. But Lacazette comes in with a lot of purpose, and again, holding the ball in. So I'm still torn apart on that because the perfect replacement for Saka is Martinelli. But watching what has been going on over the last few games, I think he'll deploy Smith Rowe on the left. But let me go with my perfect team. I think we stick to the back five. Which is we get Ramsdale, we get Tomiyasu, we get Ben White, Gabriel, Tierney. If we're going to go with a switch against Villa, I think we do need to revert to a 4-2-3-1. Even though I know it's Villa's not been exactly in the best of forms, but from last season, the one thing we know that Villa did do was split it apart. I think we do need two in the middle, which gives us a lot of fluidity in the front. So I would, despite Sambi not having the best of games, but I think this is a good test to have Sambi and Partey. Because it'll also open Partey to play the box-to-box, which is what Andrew and I were discussing earlier on. That Partey is right now being deployed as a defensive midfielder, which he's not. He's not. He's got the physicality, but every time he's deployed in the defensive mode, he wants to go up there. He wants to take a shot into row Z of the stadium. But I do feel Sambi is going to play the holding midfielder role very strongly. And we do need someone to break the lines because Villa does have the pace up front. So I would go with Partey and Sambi. Across the three, considering Saka's not in, I would not play Pepe. Very unpopular opinion, I would not play Pepe. Maybe deploy a Martinelli, Odegaard, maybe a Smith Rowe on the left, and up front, Aubameyang.
No, interesting stuff. Go to you, James. What do you think we should do on Friday?
Yeah, see, I totally agree with what Kunjan just said. The difficulty I have is who you play as your wide players, because for me, I look at it. Villa are going to play 3-5-2. So, they've got Cash and Target out there, who I think are actually very good little players. I really rate Douglas Luiz. I think Douglas Luiz is really good. Like, I'm surprised with that recall that City have in for him. They haven't gone and done it yet, but I think it's only a matter of time because I think he's class, like really, really class. And then McGinn's just a warrior. He's a little bastard, isn't he? He's a terrier type player. He just reminded from what I weren't born then, so obviously, clearly, but. From what I've watched and everything else, he's like maybe not as good, but he reminds me of that Archie Gemmell guy from what I've seen in these Forest documentaries. He's just a tenacious, on the heel type player, and he can score a goal as well. And then Danny Ings is always a worry up front, as is Watkins. And I mean, we've played them 3 times under this manager, scored no goals and lost all 3. So Am I really confident? No, to be honest. But it's one of them where if I'm looking at Odegaard's last 2 games, and I see Gary's put it in there, for me, I wouldn't put him in. I think he went missing. But it's hard because
that's because he was tasked with playing as a deep
that's
line.
it. He was playing as a centre mid. Yeah,
might as well take his handcuffs off.
Yeah, it's one of them where on the left, I would preferably love to see Martinelli. However, if you're going to play Odegaard, which I think he is with Partey and Lokonga, then I think it's going to be Smith Rowe on the left, and I think Pepe's going to stay out on the right.
Yeah,
and Aubameyang's going to start up front because, like Kunjan said, he's better coming off the bench, Lacazette, than he is starting. And I also think in the Leeds game, Lacazette will start that. So he'll go, look, you're not going to start this one, but you'll start the cup one.
Yeah,
which
true.
I think he'll accept. But yeah, it's really, really difficult. I mean, I know Gary as well said a shout there for El Neni. El Neni again is another one because if you go for the mold of what we did against Man United away last season and you just play all the fast players, that can work. You know, if you want to try and pack it in and contain and go on the break, that could work. But I don't think we've got that in us. So, and also I think Lokonga, I'd like to give Lokonga a go because he made the mistake. So it's like, go on, prove me, right your wrong from the other night.
That's one mistake he's had in all seasons.
Exactly. And when I was sat next to
one mistake, you'd have no team left.
Exactly. I mean, when I went to watch the Chelsea game, all right, it was dreadful, but I was sat with Melvin, and one of the only positives that me and Melvin were saying was this guy, Lokonga, when he was spraying past his left. And I was like, Melvin, if we stick with this guy, I think we got a good little player here.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't just start dropping people for one mistake.
No,
it's just ridiculous.
And they're young, so they'll learn from them. If it's people that we keep being in there, I mean, some people have said to Maitland-Niles for me, he isn't technically good enough on the ball. Mobility and stuff like that, and stamina, I'll never question it. But we need, like we said, with Xhaka missing, and God, how bad do I sound now? Where I'm clamouring for a Granit Xhaka. You need someone like Kunjan said that's going to break those lines. Yeah, and I think Lokonga's got it more than Neni's got it.
Yeah.
So the thing is, what I said in
an ideal world, in January, I'm buying Ruben Neves, but we ain't there yet.
Exactly. In your show yesterday, Ryan, I said one thing I said was, if you haven't got any defensive midfielders, you can't play defensive midfielders. And Partey isn't a defensive midfielder. And I don't think Lokonga is really either, to be perfectly honest, from what I've seen of him anyway. I think by reading reports, he did play deeper for Anderlecht on many occasions. But yeah, definitely, Gary. But if you haven't got the players to play a certain way, you can't play that way. Otherwise, you're going to come unstuck. And that's what I think a lot of it is down to. We are coming unstuck because Partey has been played out of position. He's now started playing Odegaard. It's a double pivot alongside him, which is like completely handcuffing Odegaard from what he's actually good at. So it's making him look poor. And people are starting to turn against him now. We're playing Pepe right out on the right ring, getting chalk on his boots as a proper winger. When I don't think he is a winger, he's an inside forward. He needs to be closer to the goal. So he's looking shit. People moaning about him, saying, "Oh, he's a waste of money. Blah, get him out of the club." And we're playing players not to their strengths. So I think if you've got all these great, really good players, which I believe they are really good players, Partey ain't going to be a crap player overnight. Pepe ain't going to be a crap player overnight. Just play to their strengths and just like, I don't know. I don't care what formation it is. Just put them where they're supposed to be. And hey, presto, they might start playing a bit better. You never know. But I'm tempted to think of going back to like a back three to get the result against them on Friday because I'm really worried about them. I think they are. They're going to pound us. They're going to be relentless attacking us. I believe. I think they see a wounded animal. They're going to go for the kill. I don't think if they go 1-0 up, they're going to sit back. I think they'll carry on going. I think we need to be a bit cute with it and start, potentially play back three, maybe marry them up with a 5-3-2 or even like a something similar. Definitely a back three, I think, for a start. Maybe put because he's been out of form, maybe drop Tierney back into the back three and bring in Tavares as a left wing back, unleash him onto the Premier League. He's been really good and positive whenever I've watched him so far. I don't think he's let us down at all. Maybe give him a go, but again, I think
he can also go on the right. He can go on the right-hand side if you want him to.
He'll probably play against Leeds, though, like you just said, James, with Lacazette.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth trying. What about you, Ryan? What do you think before we finish up?
Well, I was going to go for three centre back, five at the back when we were off the ball, basically, where obviously keep Ramsey in goal, but basically the three centre backs, like the middle, this, that, and the other. So left centre back have Tierney in, have Gabriel in the middle, Ben White on the other side, Tomiyasu and Nuno, Tavares on the wing back role, Partey. Trying to think.
I would be tempted. Boys, you think I would be tempted with Elneny as well because he'll do the dirty work, mopping up at the back. He'll run around like all night, mopping up things, and that might allow Partey to get a bit more forward as well.
So the midfield three would be Partey, Smith Rowe, and Lokonga. Lokonga just sitting back behind them two, so it allows Partey, Smith Rowe to do their bit, but at the same time they can sort of track back if they have to. And two up front, Aubameyang and Lacazette. Try something different.
Yeah.
That sort of formation, it could work, it might not work, but you try something because this formation he's playing at the moment, it won't work against Villa. With the way he likes to set up the players and have his favourites playing this, that, and the other, one striker without an out of form winger, this, that, and the other, or playing the Smith Rowe out in the wing and just to compensate having someone else in the number 10 role, or vice versa, or playing Odegaard in a double pivot to compensate Smith Rowe in number 10. I think it didn't work. It isn't going to work against anyone.
No.
You need to try something different. And I'm saying, if you play something like that, you're showing the fan base as well and the club that you're trying to work things out. You're trying different things. And if it does work, fantastic. You know that you've got another part of your army to fall back on further down the line.
It's another good point that Gary said there. If Villa concerns, they said, what about Leicester? They've scored another 4 again tonight after being in real trouble. But I think if we play the back three against Villa, then it'll be a good, not a trial run, obviously, but it'll be another game ahead of Leicester because I think we should definitely play a back three against Leicester as well. And if we've done it against Villa, we'll be that little bit better again using it against Leicester as well, away, which is going to be a massive test for us. So we'll have to wait and see what he comes up with on the Friday. But I think if we just don't do anything and go head to head with Villa in the same way that we played against Crystal Palace, I think we're done for. We're really badly done for. I genuinely think it could be quite embarrassing. I think we could be 3-0 down at half time, that type of scenario, because I think our confidence is so low. I know that they shipped like 3 goals in the last 10, 12 minutes against Wolves, but I don't think he's going to let that happen again, is he? And they were looking good in that game up until that point.
I think if like you said, if he's 3-0 down at half time with that Friday night game in that stadium, oh boy. Honestly, I'm not even joking, mate. Yeah, I know. No. I'm with you. I can see it happening. Yeah, 100%.
Remember the last time we played them? I mean, they scored in the first minute, didn't they? That was disallowed. And that set the tone for the rest of the game. We were absolutely.
I didn't include it, but they even beat us in that pre-season game. They gave us a pasting.
Yeah,
remember when we had those behind closed door friendlies?
Yeah,
I think they've done us about 4-1 in that as well, 3-1 or 4-1 or something.
I think it's 3-1.
Depresses me when you see Brentford against Chelsea. And I know they lost, but there's no way they should have lost that game. Brentford paid them no respect whatsoever. They didn't care that they were Chelsea. They weren't scared of them. No. They just literally played their game and they ripped them to pieces at times. And it was exciting to watch.
Set up and got a plan.
The setup, it's just exciting to watch, wasn't it?
I mean, we've been a bit light on him. He had the whole international break to prepare for that as well. and that was the reaction we got.
Yeah.
You know, okay, some of them were out on international duty, but he's hardly got as many of them as they used to have, because you know our players aren't really picked these days.
I know. Well, I'm going to wind it up there, guys. But I've really, really enjoyed that. I hope we can all get together again soon, all of us. And Kunjan, it's been an absolute pleasure again, mate. Thank you for joining us.
No, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it, man.
No, it's absolutely great. And you need to do some voiceover work, mate, because your voice is incredible.
Thank you. I actually was on radio in Kenya for about 10
Well,
years.
there you go then. Yeah, I'm a good talent
Thank
spotter.
you.
You should pick it up again, mate. Pick it up. James, great to have you on board again.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Hope you come back
Appreciate
again soon.
No, I will do.
And you, Ryan. Thanks ever so much, mate.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming
me
on
on.
board again. And everyone in the chat has been absolutely fantastic. Neil, Gary, Michael, who's we had there. We've also had Shane as well. Russ. Thank you to everyone. I'm sorry for missing you out, or scrolling all the way back up again. But thanks ever so much for everyone coming by. We should be back again soon. What have you got coming up in the next few days, Ryan and James as well? Have you got anything you want to shout out? Any shows coming up?
Just, you know, youtube.com/James Johnston Football, and then youtube.com/purely Arsenal FP.
Fantastic.
You know, Neil talks about sorry for turning up late. Yes, that's classic from you, Neil. To be fair, mate. That's your gimmick, Neil. That's your trademark.
And Ryan, you got a show coming up tomorrow, haven't you?
Yeah, we're doing a preview for the Villa game. It's 2-2 at Man United now.
And I think I'll be dropping on that one, won't I? Which will be a pleasure.
Yeah, preview for 6:30. Myself, yourself, got Keith coming on. We've got Steve Green, aka Green Gloss, as you like to refer to him by.
Fantastic.
And then Friday we're going to do a watch long again. Pray that you turn up. Don't really weekends.
Yeah. God, that could be a great one, or it could be a bad one.
Yeah.
But if anyone hasn't seen my show from Tuesday morning as well with Jerry Payton, please give that a watch. That was a really good insight from Jerry. He's a great bloke. Really, really liked it. Good show that was. So please give that a watch. And in the meantime, see you all later. Up the Gunners.